this is the latest Remnant fly. This turned out to be kind of a Matuka style, rabbit strip baitfish pattern. Started out with the little dumbbell eyes there, and then thought about doing some sort of baitfish thing with some rabbit strips, and ran across this fluorescent blue rabbit. Threw in some other things, some interesting items. Put a little throat on it, as well as some mallard flank. In the end, I think the mallard flank came out a little bit too long. If I had to do it again, I would have shortened that up a little bit, so maybe it would only come down about halfway. But I think it's an interesting looking little pattern, and it'll be interesting later this year when the streamer bite is on more, see how well it works. So that's the latest Remnant fly. I'll get started. I'm going to start the Remnant fly, this particular one, with my hook on the vise. This is a Mustad 3366. I think it's a size 2. It's a little bit big for a size 4. So we're going to go with the size 2 on that. I'm going to debarb the hook. This one kind of got started with these little dumbbell eyes that I'm going to put on here. Let's see if I can't crank that down a little bit more. It's not. I'm going to move this back. Actually, now I'm going to turn around and mess with my focus. Move this to the back notch here. Just not holding it all that well. That's better. For thread, I'm going to start with this is a UTC 140 Denier in white. So it's going to be a white body on this. I'll end with a black head to it, but for now I'm going to start with a white. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and move back just a little bit. As I was saying, this one got its start as I ran across these little I-Balz. I think these were a Spirit River thing. Don't know if they're still around anymore. I just thought it would be kind of nice to do some sort of a baitfish pattern around these. So I'm going to tie these in. I want to leave myself some extra room in front. You'll see why in just a little bit. I'm going to tie these in a good 2 eye lengths behind the eye of the hook. These are the smaller size I-Balz. They come in 2 different sizes. The other one is much bigger than this. With this size hook, you could use them, but you got to get up to 8 weight rods to cast them. So I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this here. I'm going to run my thread back here. I'm going to get some head cement on those I-Balz. My next thought was doing some sort of a Matuka kind of thing with some rabbit strip. And kind of like a bunny leech type thingy. And that's what I'm going to stick with doing here. But I ran across my Remnant pack, or I should say bin, isn't just 100% Remnant stuff. In other words, leftovers. Like I'm going to use some of this red Schlappen here. This is just leftover from another fly. There's some good materials here, so that's why it gets in the Remnant thing. It is also comprised of some sample products. Going to various fly shows over the years, especially when I was working in the industry, the vendors like Wapsie and Hairline, Cascade Crest, and Spirit River, and all of them would hand out to fly tires these little sample packs that would have little samples of their current products and usually their new products. This one happens to be a fluorescent blue rabbit strip. It's a new color. Now, I would say it's been around for a while because I've had these sitting in my remnant box for a little while. But I saw this and I just thought it would be a very interesting color to do, especially for a warm water fly. Blue actually, believe it or not, works pretty well for warm water species. So I figured I'm probably going to go ahead and go with this just to give it a try. And I'm trying to think, oh, I know what I'm going to do. That's right. I'm going to tie it up here at the front in just a minute, but I'm going to put in some wire. I did not have any silver wire remnants in my kit, so I'm going to use a little piece of copper wire here. This is just some large Lagarten large copper wire. This is going to help hold the rabbit strip down all along the back here. So I'm trying to think, I haven't done this before, so I'm trying to think the best way to put all this together. Because for the body, I was thinking some sort of pearl, like ice tub or something like that for a minnow body. And in that process, ran across another little sample of Blaine Chocklett. Airline came out with this Finesse Body Chenille a number of years ago. I remember when they came out with this. And I hadn't used it yet, so I'm going to use this for the body. I kind of like it. It's shaggy. Curious to see if it pulsates and has a lot of body in the water per se. So I'm going to tie that in here. And I'm going to bring my thread forward, actually in front of, because I want to get just a wrap or two in front of those eyes. And then I'm going to wrap in this Finesse Body Shield, not shield, Body Chenille. It had a in there, so I guess I got confused. So this will be interesting. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to maybe flip this at a taper. I don't think I'm going to, but just want to see how this goes in. I haven't worked with it. It makes a pretty fine body. I mean, it's a lot fuller than I thought it would be. If you don't have any of this, body chenille right here, this Finesse Body Chenille, then I would by all means just go ahead and do some dubbing in here. I was going around the eyes a little bit to help cover that up. And I'm going to get one or two wraps right here in front of the eyes. And then I'm going to tie that off. I'm going to leave some room in front of the rabbit and everything for a little throat and a collar. So the nice thing about this Body Chenille, goes in real nice, is that it bulks it up, and I could see this even swimming in the water having a little bit more bulk. It wouldn't just lay flat and get really skinny, but at the same time, it's not interfering with this area right here around the point of the hook. So I'm going to get that back just a little bit there. Now we're going to take our blue, fluorescent blue rabbit, and I'm going to tie the end of that in right up front here. I just want to bring that down and get that tied in back there. Smooth that off just a little bit. We'll have kind of a big nose on this, I think, in the end. I'm going to bring this forward at this point, and I'm going to change over my thread. Now, just for security's sake, I'm going to put in a couple half hitches here real quick. You could put in a 2-3 turn whip finish if you want. That's just going to give me a little bit of security. Plus, with those knots in, I can just cut this thread off and then attach my black thread. I'm going to use a Danville 6/0 in black to finish the fly off. And I'm just going to get that attached in here just a little bit. A little dollop of head cement is not going to hurt. Now, back here, what I want to do is I want to use that wire. You're going to have to moisten this rabbit just a little bit, not saturate it, but at least to where you can, it's not real wispy and you can control it a little bit better. What I want to do is I want to take that wire and right at where that hide comes down and lays down in the back there, I just want to split that hair up and run that wire right straight across. That's going to hold that in for me. And then I'm going to come forward trying not to trap too much of that chenille. I'll come forward a little bit, advance my way up the body here. Probably get 4 or 5 wraps of this wire in. It'll do 2 things for me. Its main purpose is to, I wanted a silver wire. Its main purpose is to help hold that rabbit hide in. It is going to add just a little bit of barring in there because this is a copper color. If it was silver, it would blend in a little bit better. A little segmentation, maybe scales or something like that on our little bait fish. I'm going to get this wrap here, come right around behind those dumbbell eyes. And then this last wrap is going to come up underneath, right around front, like this. And I'm going to pile on some thread wraps there. Fatigue this off. There we go. So that's our rib. This will all flow and lay down really, really nice. This tail here, there's a couple of things I had thought about putting a little piece of mono on here first and then piercing it and putting in as like an anti-foul guard, and you could do that. I didn't think of it while I was actually putting all of this in. My head was somewhere else. So keep that in mind. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip this so the overall hide here is maybe about the length of the shank. So that's going to give me, a nice little tail back behind this little bait fish. Okay, so the next step for our little remnant bait fish pattern is going to be a throat. Originally I thought about maybe even a red collar, but I'm going to go with some of this Schlappen. You could even go with some of the fluffier stuff if you want to here. I'm probably going to incorporate a little bit of that. So I'm just going to take some of the wider fluff here off of one side of this feather, and I'm going to bunch it together, put it together with another clump from the other side of this feather. Not going to be tied in real long as a throat, but this gives you the kind of gill flash kind of thing that sometimes triggers warm water species, actually even cold water species. And I'm just going to tie that maybe about a half a shank length long or so, about as long as to the point of the hook. Bring that right up under here. A little wrap underneath. I got some of that white chenille hung up in there. And I'll put a few wraps in to secure that. Be kind of a fun pattern just the way it is right now. So outside of that, I also thought it'd be kind of interesting to palmer a little bit of mallard flank around the front, just to add a little bit of contrast to this. So that's another reason why I wanted to leave a little bit of room. I put the eyes in a little bit further back because I knew I was going to be tying in the rabbit up here and a throat, and then a little bit of a collar of mallard here. So get that in, couple wraps going backwards, fold this back, couple wraps to secure it, and come up forward. I don't have to, I think, on this pattern, but you can pop that tip out of there if you want. I'm going to stroke those fibers back and just wrap a couple, 3 or 4 wraps in. It's kind of like a soft hackle, and get this right up front here. Trim out the excess. Now I'm going to fold all this back. Try and sweep all of this back out of the way. Kind of difficult with that dumbbell eyes on there. But we'll give it a try here. And then start building up just a little bit of a nose right here. Just to finish it off, make it look polished. Cover all that up. Put in a 7 or 8 turn whip finish there to secure that. I think we're done. Maybe used a shorter feather up there for that mallard flank. I don't know. I like the pattern. It looks awfully interesting. Like I said, probably a little shorter feather up here. Got some nice color combinations to it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty certain as it is in the water, it will kind of look like this. It'll be all kind of swept back a little bit more. Has some nice color, some nice barring to it. There we go. Maybe a magnum. For that size hook, maybe a magnum zonker, also a little longer. I don't know. I think if the mallard were a little bit shorter, it would look a little bit more. Let me stop being tongue-tied. It would look more proportional. But there you have it. That is the latest remnant fly, kind of a Matuka rabbit baitfish kind of pattern. Thanks for watching today.
Thanks for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.